Hello, teachers, parents, and educational leaders, and welcome to this episode of Breaking Down the B.E.S.T. Now, during this episode, you will get a peek into the members-only area where I have tons of resources to help you make math fun, make it click, and make it stick. There should be a link somewhere around this video where you can learn more. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's get to it, and let's break down the standard. Welcome to Breaking Down the B.E.S.T, a video series dedicated to breaking down Florida's best standards for math. So grab something to write with and maybe even a snack. This looks good. And don't forget to put a smile on your face. There you go, I see you. And let's dive into today's best standard. Hey everyone, my name is Sarah McCarthy and I am super excited that you are taking time to join me as we break down the following best standard. Okay, today's standard is MA.5.AR.2.3. And this standard says that students will be expected to determine and explain whether an equation involving any of the four operations is true or false. So determine, that just means, is it true or is it false? Explain, why or how do you know? An equation needs to have that equal sign, and the four operations are adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. Here's an example of what that might look like in action. It says, here's the equation. This equation can be determined to be true. That's the determination part, because, here's the explanation, the expression on both sides of the equation of the equal sign are equivalent to 14 5/10. So that's the explanation, okay? By the way, this document that I have marked up all over is not something that I created. It's something that the Florida Department of Education releases to the public, and I'm just showing you how I take this document, how I use it, and break it down to make sense of it in order to create the resources that are aligned to the B.E.S.T standards in taking on the B.E.S.T. Okay, so for clarifications, it says problem types include equations that include parentheses, but not nested parentheses. Here's an example of nested parentheses where you have those brackets to be solved, and inside of that are parentheses. Those are called nested parentheses, where one is nesting inside of the other, and we need to make sure that the problems do not include these kind of nested parentheses. Also, we need to focus on the connection between properties of equality, means balancing the equation, and order of operations, which are parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, going from left to right, and adding and subtracting, again, solving the problem from left to right if we have both of those operations present. I crossed out the E right here because exponents are not included in 5th grade for the B.E.S.T standards, so we don't really have to focus on that. Now, which related benchmarks have a horizontal alignment with this standard? All of these are the place value to the decimals, with decimals to the thousandths place. So we're going to need that knowledge. And also, this is the multiplication, adding and subtracting decimals, and multiplying and dividing 1/10 and 1/100th. Some terms, the equal sign is important because that shows us the balance. An equation has an equal sign with expressions or values on either side, and an expression is just considering one side of the equation, just the numbers, just the operations happening, but we're not really looking at the equal sign for an expression, or an equal sign might not even be present. Okay, 4.AR.2.1 are true-false equations. This is where they are coming from. So they have had some exposure with true and false equations with all four operations, but we are bumping it up this year in 5th grade by incorporating the order of operations. In 6th grade, students will see true and false equations with inequalities, so using the greater than, less than sign as well. As we scroll down to the purpose and instructional strategies, let me just point out some of the things that jumped out at me is that this benchmark is to connect basically everything that they've learned about the 4 operations and be able to perform these tasks reliably and fluently, to understand the meaning of the equal sign. It says here that students have had true and false equations in 2nd grade, and in 6th grade, like we said, they'll extend this with negative numbers too, and inequalities. Students will have to use the order of operations to simplify the expressions on each side of the equation, and they can use comparative relative thinking instead of solving and estimation. So if they see that it's like half of 100 on one side and then they have 1,000 on the other side, they can already compare and say, oh, I know that if I take half of 100, it's going to be way less than this gigantic number over here, so this equation is false. That's a quick example of comparative relative thinking. For common misconceptions and errors, they said here that students may not understand that the equal sign is a relational symbol, but frankly, I think that most of the mistakes that are going to be made are performing the order of operations incorrectly. So that's what I would be watching out for. Here for this one, with these blanks, when we get to the math mission and taking on the best, you'll see something that looks like that. And this is the way to determine with true or false, and then the rest of it is the explanation of why. So make sure your students get in the habit of being able to read carefully for types of problems like that. Okay, let's go into the website, into your membership, and see what you have access to. All right, so here we are. We're going to go to members, enter here, taking on the best. You might have to log in, 5th grade, then go to AR, and we are on right here, AR.2.3 with true or false equations. Click that. And here are your bronze resources. So if you have the bronze, the silver, or gold membership, everyone has access to this if they are members. This is true and false equations. And because we do spend a lot of time with order of operations, this one is, I just felt like the need, like they only needed one video lesson to really walk them through it. So determine and explain whether each equation is true or false. This is the video lesson, and I will guide them through, so they just have to copy down their notes. That's the bronze resource. And if you have the silver plan, click on your printables. Again, here's your video lesson, the same one that I just showed you, but now you have extra practice available that looks very similar to what we just did in the video. So students can use their notes and try this one out. See, we have fractions, we have decimals, we have this equal sign. We're solving both sides to figure it out. Remember when I said that in the math mission, it would have those blanks? Well, here you go. It says use the cards below to create an equation that is true. Explain how you know that it's true. Use the same cards to create an equation that is false. Explain how you know that it's false. So it's handing a little bit more responsibility over to the student. And then finally, we have the math misconception mystery problem. This is, you'll see here, it's a video lesson, so you just go back to your silver resources, you click play right there, and I will walk students through this whole thing where they'll solve the problem, and then they'll watch as 4 characters solve that same problem. 3 of them make a mistake, only 1 solves it correctly, and then they fill out their detective report right here. Okay. Gold members, if you have the gold plan, then you have access to everything. You have a mini assessment right here that's aligned to the standard with a variety of question types. Okay, here's one that we saw, similar to what was in the guide that the Florida Department of Education releases. And there you go, okay? Mini assessment, you have your answer key right there. Your Breaking Down the Best video is right there for you if you're a gold member, which is ad-free. These videos are available on YouTube, but they do contain ads. And if you have the gold plan, you get the nice little benefit of having it right there with all of your resources. But really, A lot of people choose the gold plan because you have access to McCarthy Math 155. The 155 stands for 155 grade level videos. It's a daily math intervention where we are just busting out these skills. It is aligned to the Common Core standards, so our past standards, but there are so many helpful videos in here that really will make a difference if you have students who are struggling with their skills. So click that. If you have students that need more practice, I would suggest going to the Numerical Expressions unit that has 13 video lessons. And this is just more practice on solving the order of operations. So not really true and false equations here because that was not a standard in the Common Core standards, but you do have access to so many examples of order of operations. So that's where our students will make the most mistakes, is performing the operations incorrectly. So this will help, okay? All right, I think that's it. I hope that by breaking down this standard and seeing what you have access to with your membership, that you feel ready to rock and roll and lead your students. Before we go, I just want to remind you that what you wake up and you do every day with your life, it really does matter. Thank you for leading your students to success, for showcasing what the best version of you looks like so that they can step into the best version of themselves too. I know you're busy and I want to honor your time. So with that, I will see you on the next episode of Breaking Down the B.E.S.T, all right? Bye. Okay, so I know that I just said goodbye for now, but I'm gonna ask you to do one more thing, okay? If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing it with your teacher friends or other leaders in education. That's how I get to continue doing what I love to do, which of course is supporting you all to the best of my ability. All right, for real now. Bye.